Hello, my name is Sarah and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we are going to be talking about how to stop worrying and start living. I've got a 3-step process that I do. I've been doing this for years, so that if anytime a worrisome thought comes into my head, especially with everything that's going on right now, I use these steps to help me get through it and get past it so that I'm not worrying all day, all night, all week, all month long. So if you want to find out these 3 steps, keep on watching. So welcome. If you're new to this channel, my name's Sarah. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch these videos. And if you've been here before, thank you, and thank you for liking, commenting, sharing my videos, and subscribing to the channel. Now, I really wanted to talk about this topic because I know this is a time where everyone at some degree or another is worrying about the future and how things are going to play out with everything going on right now. And it's hard. It's really difficult, especially because we're all just like self-isolated and we're just home stewing in it and worrying about it. I'm not a worrier. Hell could be breaking loose and I can't get worried like that. Don't get me wrong. I have a thought and I might sit on it for a minute, but this step-by-step process goes on in my head and then it's gone and I don't dwell on it. And I know for some of you it's hard because you're thinking about these things all day long for months sometimes, and it's eating away at you. It's making life really uncomfortable and miserable. So we need to stop that, and this is how I did it. So step 1. Acknowledge what you're thinking or how you're feeling. I know in today's society where everyone's like, positivity, stay positive, yay. I'm a very positive person, but the reality of it is this. There's nothing wrong with feeling the way you feel and thinking the things that the key is not to dwell on them. But how do you do it when everything around you is like making it really easy for you to feel this way and for you to think these things? So the first thing I tell you to do is acknowledge it. Don't try to brush it under the rug or ignore it or pretend like you don't feel that way. You do, and you're entitled to it. This is the moment where you don't judge yourself and don't call yourself names and all of that stuff. So say, for example, you're worried about if you're gonna be able to pay the rent and to, because you've lost your job and all of this, or maybe your hours have been cut down and you're not really sure what you're gonna do. You have some money, but it's not gonna last forever, right? And you're worried about that. Don't push that aside. Acknowledge it. You have every right to feel that way. And don't call yourself stupid for not preparing better or whatever. That's all in the past. You have to move forward and you have to just keep pushing because you will get through this, just like you've gotten through everything else. But it's important that you acknowledge it and give yourself the opportunity to feel those feelings. It's okay to cry. It's okay to be upset. And it's definitely okay to worry, but we're gonna go into step 2 and I'm gonna show you how to gradually start to push that away so that you're not dwelling on it. So, here's step number 2. Challenge it. Now, here's the fun part. After you've, wallowed in it, you've said all the negative things about your situation. Oh, this sucks, I don't have a job, I can't get a job, what's gonna happen if I lose the rest of my hours, what's gonna happen if I get fired or laid off or whatever, what's gonna happen when my money runs out, I don't know what to do, After you've let all of that out, after you've cried it out, all that, let it out, acknowledge it, feel it, challenge it. And how do you challenge it? You just sit there mentally to yourself. You don't even have to do this out loud, but you can, it does help. Ask yourself, the feelings that you're feeling right now, the things that you're currently doing right now, the things you're saying to yourself right now, the frustration, the anger, is this helping your situation in any way? Is it improving your situation? Is it gonna help you get a job? Is it gonna help you keep the job you have or keep the hours you have? Is it gonna help put more money in the bank? Challenge it, because this is the part, it's crucial, you have to do this before you get into the next step, because now that you've justified that you're perfectly well within your rights to feel this way, you have to challenge the feeling and say, okay, yeah, I feel this way and it's totally fine that I do, considering everything that's going on. But is this really helping me? Is this really serving me? I remember back in my early 20s, this is when the shift happened, that transition happened, and I just couldn't worry about things I had no control over. I was going through a really trying time in my life. It was a transition. I was moving back to Canada, and I just wasn't really sure. I was worried about things. I was worried about all the relationships that I was leaving behind, just life in Canada as an adult versus when I grew up here as a child. I really didn't know what to expect, and I worried about it. I laid in my bed and I cried, and I just like stewed in it. And I remember the radio was on. I don't know what songs were playing or any of that, but the host came on and she said this quote, and it changed my thinking so much, and I've stuck this with me. I've held on to it anytime. Worrying is like a rocking chair. It gives you something to do, but it gets you nowhere. And I remember hearing those words, and I almost like instantly just like stopped crying, and I felt my body relaxing. I was wiping away the tears. I was feeling so much better. I was like, yeah, worrying about it, the state that I'm in, crying and staying in this place is not going to help the situation. I still have to move. I'm still going to be leaving all these relationships behind. I still don't know what to expect, but me staying in this state isn't going to help that. It's not going to make that process any easier. So how is it serving me? Challenged it. I challenged it. I'm telling you, sit down and challenge every negative thought, everything that's telling you can't get through this, you can't do this, any worry you're feeling, challenge it. So that's step 2. Let's get into step number 3. Now, this is the fun part. After you've acknowledged, you've challenged it, now I want you to counter it. Now, here's what I mean. Unless you're like a newborn, every single person that's watching this video, you have been through something in your life before. It may not be the same as what you're going through now, but you've experienced hard times. And guess what? If you're watching this video, that means you got through it. And the way you counter is by going back into your past. Sit down quietly in your room with no distractions, and this is a great time to talk out loud and talk to yourself. I do this all the time. Talk to yourself and bring up moments in your life where you overcame challenges. And I want you to go into detail. I don't want you to just remember the car accident. I don't want you to just remember the rehab. I don't want you to just remember the hard time you had in school or the bullies or whatever. I want you to really go into detail and recount how you felt and what you were going through at the time and the stage in your life, the things you saw, the smells, the sounds, everything. Replay it in your head. And when you're going through all this, you are building up all of these emotions and feelings. Let them come out, let them happen. Because as you go through the bad part of the event, you're gradually getting to the part where you overcame it. And as you get into that part of the story and you're telling yourself about how, yeah, you know, it was tough, I was homeless, it was really hard, I was scared while I was sleeping on the street, I wasn't really sure if that was gonna be my last night, you know. I had a hard time just navigating that whole way of life. But I remember like this particular thing happened, or I met this person, or something came to me, or I heard something, and I just started to do this and I started to do that, and I started to take more control and take more action, and before you knew it, I was able to get another job, and then gradually things started to change. I was able to get my own place, and it wasn't the best place in the world, but it was a roof over my head, and I did it. As you're transitioning from the negative experience or the negative part of the experience into the positive part and how you overcame, you're actually feeling those feelings at that very moment. They're not fake, they're real. You're remembering them, your body's feeling them, your brain is going through the whole chemical process with your body and it's remembering, you're feeling this. This is good. Countering it shows you, confirms to you that if you were able to get through those things, you will get through this too. And recognize that staying in this state is not serving you. Now you have to counter it. Ask yourself, when was there a time when you really had to overcome something? What did you do? Go through it and talk to yourself. You'll start like encouraging yourself and the motivation will come out. And before you know it, whatever you're worrying about, how do I say, it feels almost like it's smaller, like it's shrunk to this when before it was like this. Bite-sized chunks. It's been a game changer for me going through these steps, and now I have a little bonus tip or bonus step for you. After you've acknowledged your feelings, you've challenged them and you've countered them, the next thing I want you to do, you don't necessarily have to do this all in one day. Understand this is a process for everyone. But the next thing I want you to do, now that you're in that moment, when you're feeling those good feelings about how you overcame, I want you to sit down, get a pen, paper, whatever, or even in your phone, and start writing out all the things that you can do right now to help your current situation. Now, don't get hung up on how you're gonna do it. Don't get hung up on that. Just start writing. Don't judge it, don't overthink it. Just start writing all the little things. What can you do to bring in more income? What can you do to maybe cut down your bills? What can you do? What can you do? Like talk yourself through it. Write all of these things down. I guarantee you, if you have 20 things on that list, 10 things on those lists, you must be able to find one thing. And when you pick out one thing in that list that you can start doing today, start doing it. Just go ahead. Don't worry, don't think, how is this gonna work? Just start. So there you have it. That's my process that I go through. I have that period, it may last a day, it may last a week, where I'm just like playing, like living in that victim mode, really feeling sorry and down on myself. But then I challenge it, and then I counter it, and then I get to work. So I hope this really helps. Go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe to the channel and start implementing these things. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.